thousands of protesters stormed Sri Lankan presidential palace, making themselves at home, as it appears, while they are protesting, enjoying the luxuries at the VIP residence, the most high-profile in Sri Lanka. These are some of the activities that the protesters indulged in. This, meanwhile, remember, is usually reserved only for the president, his family or high-profile guests. Taking dip in the swimming pool, working out at the presidential gymnasium, gorging on the delicious food that must have been available at that point in the kitchen reserved for the president and his family. Not just that, angry protesters, meanwhile, inside the president's house were seen shouting slogans and also, it appears, drinking, enjoying the drinks available. One protester was even seen sleeping on the personal bed of the president of Sri Lanka, even thanking him in a video for the comfortable sleep that he got. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, meanwhile, was forced to flee, as some visuals have emerged amid this escalating violence, saying he will resign on Wednesday. And India today is on the ground to get you this biggest international story that is unfolding and very important for India, considering it's our neighboring nation. Pramod Madhav, my colleague, is there on the ground. Pramod, first, stay safe, considering it's a developing situation there. Are the protesters still inside the presidential palace? What is the number that you can account for? And are there security personnel deployed still?
Well, thank you for it. And yes, the protesters are still here, and as you could see, they are just floating. So these are not just protesters; these are people who are walking along with their children, and they are being provided food and water and everything over here. And they're just walking towards the president's office, the president's palace, because all this has now become a spot, something that they could not enter just like that. But it has turned into a tourist spot, and they don't want to miss a chance. That's the reason, as you could all those stairs that was reserved for the president at one point. Now people are walking over. They want to see what is exactly happening at this spot. On one side, you have the anger of the public who are demanding answers for the economic crisis, but on the other side, it has turned into a leisure event after the storming yesterday. That's the only way we can put it through, because of the way certain people have started acting as well. But just like you mentioned, definitely the situation is still volatile, because here you have army men who are fully dressed, and they are carrying weapons and everything, and they are guarding both entrance to the president's office on the lower ground to make sure that no protester storms inside. And the harsh part is that in the same position they've been standing since as far as 7 a.m. as I could remember, because I was here by 7 a.m. itself. Since then, these army personnel have been placed at this location exactly the same way, and above them are the Sri Lankan protesters who are over there. So there are chances for this thing to turn into any way at any cost, but this is the exact location from where the protesters stormed yesterday. So here on the other side, there are camps where people are still raising slogans, Gota Go Gama or Gota Go Home. This is the only slogan they are raising, and this is the present situation in the president's office, and similar situation is also seen in the president's palace.
Gota Go Home is referring, of course, to the president of the country, who's nowhere to be seen, Pramod. So I can also hear sloganeering already behind, and I'm sure our viewers did too. Pramod, if I could possibly request you to stay on with me for as long as is possible and comfortable to you. We're also joined by two guests from Sri Lanka. Shanuka Pereira is India Today's correspondent, joining me live from Colombo. Also, Tharaka Balasurya, and he's a member of parliament from Sri Lanka. Thank you both of you for joining me. Mr. Balasurya, I'll come to you first at this point, because this concerns the government, this concerns elected representatives, this concerns the Rajapaksa family who held the most important portfolios. How do you react to these protests? While this is, many would call it a mob, many would call it people are angry, how are you as a member of parliament defining what is unfolding in Sri Lanka?
Well, it's a good question. I think there was unprecedented hardship that people of Sri Lanka had to face during COVID, and then also after COVID. And there was also general dissent towards the way the country was being governed. The politicians, most of the people felt that they were robbing the country. They felt that the affairs of the people were not properly represented. So I think it's a reflection of all these reasons. I think for a very long period, if the people were of the opinion that it's a question of that the rich getting richer and the poor being suppressed. And I think it was a perfect storm, because there was the economic conditions deteriorated, and then there was unprecedented hardship on the people.
Yes.
So it's a reflection on that.
Mr. Balasuriya, please stay on with me because Shanuka Pereira also is joining me. He and representing India today as a correspondent. Shanuka, what is happening right now? Because I see two different kind of protests. I see a mob. I see angry protesters who have literally burned down the VIP residences. Then I see families with children taking a stroll, not missing this opportunity, as historic as it could be, some of them. So what is exactly happening? Because it's unbelievable, absolutely.
Yes, actually, when the ninth protest was happening, no one thought that these people will go into the residences and this thing will happen. So what was planned, the people were about to come to Colombo and protest as usual, but somehow the people entered to the president house and the president office as well, and this thing happened. Anyway, if I talk about the constitution in Sri Lanka, the people entering into the premises doesn't mean that the president is going home or anything like that. So president have to resign by his hand to go home, and rest of the things are happening. So what's happening right now is, yesterday the speaker said that the 13th of July, the president is going to resign. So with that statement, president is now saying that he is going to resign and the country is going to be solved. And don't know whether the economic crisis, as MP Taraka said.
But is the situation also not turning dangerous? Because if there's no official leader, there is rampage being reported as well. This could just go out of control for otherwise citizens of Sri Lanka.
Yes, the Prime Minister Wickremesinghe has said that he has to summon the parliament as soon as possible and get a decision on what's going on, because some of the ministers are resigning from their portfolios, which means the country can't go more than like a week or two without the government. So what is happening is, yes, when the parliament is summoned, so either the prime minister has to be the president or maybe the speaker has to be the president. So what happened yesterday at the party's meeting was the party leaders decided that the speaker should be the next president for next few weeks or maybe next few months. So if that happened, so the new government with the new ministers, and they can handle the situation. But anyways, IMF is saying that the Sri Lanka has to sustain to get the financial support, and they should have a stability somehow.
Yes. So it will, of course, there has to be economic stability for any government to function, and very important for Sri Lanka right now. Shanuka, please stay on with me, because to Tharaka Balasuriya, because you're a member of parliament, now we know that there is a reference coming in to the all-party government that will be formed. Can you help us understand how and when that can happen? And how will an all-party government be different from how it existed till now in the country?
This idea was mooted by some religious leaders and also by different sections of the parliament. The all-party government would be a temporary government consisting of all the parties which is represented in parliament. But I'm not sure whether even for an all-party government, whether the JVP, who are one of the principal parties in organizing the protest, whether they would participate in an all-party government. If not, the SJB and the SLPP to form an all-party government for a period of maybe 6 months, and then and show some sort of stability, because it's absolutely important that we sign the staff level agreement with IMF, and if it's further delayed, then economically it can be catastrophic, and as you correctly said, it can spiral down. But I think on the political front, things will be sorted out. But it's the economic front which we really need to worry about. And I think, perhaps after a period of 6 months or so, that we will probably go for an election. And that's the only way to validate the will of the people.